The majority of this video was written before the catalyst was available. My thoughts on it with the catalyst will be at the end, at this timestamp. Hint hint, they're very positive. Yeehaw! Hey everyone, Scoobyfoo here, and I am not doing that voice anymore. Cowboy jokes are warranted though, because we finally got it. A lever action. It took 7 years of Destiny content to get one, but it's finally here and I could not be happier. It's so good, it's just so good. The reload is detailed, it has the best feeling shot in the game. Let's explain how you actually get this thing. To get Dead Man's Tail, you'll need to launch into the Arms Dealer Strike on the EDZ and kill all the enemies in the first room as usual. After that, instead of going the normal way, you'll want to go to the right door that's now open, and continue to the launch pad that you went to all the way back in the Red War, when you were going after Thumos the Unbroken. Once you've grabbed the datapad that's on the right platform, return to Zavala and he'll give you access to the Presage mission in the Tangled Shore. And I want you to just pause this video right now and go do the mission 100% blind. Don't look anything up, don't look at a guide, don't unpause the video until you're either completely stuck in the mission, or you have Dead Man's Tail in your hands, in which case, skip to this timestamp. Oh, and if you haven't paused yet, bring some concussive dampeners. Welcome back. I see you got stuck. For the interest of keeping this video succinct, I'll just cover the spots you're most likely to get stuck at right now. First up, I kinda hope you didn't get lost here, but from the beginning you need to turn left to some platforms on the side of the ship. Next area that could be a bit confusing, when you're in this electric room and going to the left, you need to jump across the middle to continue. Did you get spooked by the noises yet? Get blown up by a screeb? Next area, the vent maze. Grab the spores, go to the door on the left, flip the lever, and a door will open in the room with the dead scorn on the table. Have fun, and maybe replace those concussive dampeners with melee resist mods. You're done with the mission. Congrats. Out of curiosity, did this happen to you while killing the locusts? I wonder, can I? Ah. Okay, he just nothing personnel kidded me. Yeah. Anyways, now that you have Dead Man's Tail in your hands, let's cover how it works. As you might have noticed, it's a 120 RPM lever action scout. It uses iron sights instead of a scope, so it has very, very low zoom compared to other scout rifles. The reload is unique as well, loading 2 rounds at a time instead of reloading a full magazine. And it has random rolls. So much for that being unique to Hawkmoon. Before we get to those, let's peek at the pretty simple exotic perk, Cranial Spike, which stacks on a precision hit, granting increased damage and reload speed for around 4.5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times, at which point it'll deal 40% more damage and have a decent boost to reload speed. As for the random rolls, it has the expected assortment of barrel and mag options, 4 different stocks that affect handling and stability for the most part, and the following perks. Subsistence, Outlaw, Killing Wind, Snapshot Sights, Moving Target, Vorpal Weapon, and 4th times the Charm. Alright, cool. We'll talk about what rolls are generally preferred for the weapon in a second, and given how simple the exotic perk is, I don't think I need to explain how to use it, so I'm just gonna gush about the gun for a second. It feels good. It feels so unbelievably good to shoot. When I was testing the perk in builds, I'd just roam around Nessus shooting whatever I came across. I really didn't care what it was or why I was shooting it, I just wanted to keep tapping heads with this thing. You see this seasonal challenge? I didn't farm the Arms Dealer Strike to get it done. I just ended up coming across some Warring Cabal on Nessus, and before I knew it, I had done the challenge. Not once in the last year or so of Destiny have I ever enjoyed a gun so much that I literally just roamed around shooting it. I have more kills on it after 2 weeks than every other kinetic weapon in the game. Actually, as of editing this, I have more kills on it than every other gun in the game, including Recluse. And there's so much attention to detail. The Wild West whistle when you reach maximum cranial spike stacks, your character physically loading 2 shots at once to match the amount you actually reload, the hammer working exactly as you'd see it in a real lever action, the iron sights lighting up when you reach max cranial spike, it's all so good. Alright, let's think up some preferred rolls for this thing. Hold on a sec, I hear you say. The roll I got just had transformative. Can we even get random rolls yet? We can. You can only get 1 per week per account, but it is possible to get them. Just redo Presage again. Anyways, let's talk PvE rolls first. There's actually quite a lot here. If you find the reload on the gun perfectly acceptable on its own, or with just a scout loader mod, you may want to go for something like Vorpal Weapon, or 4th times the charm, so you can pump out higher DPS or DPS for a longer amount of time versus beefier targets. Whereas if you plan on using a sniper, slug, shotgun, or something like that for major or ultra DPS, you might end up preferring Outlaw or Subsistence to increase your reload speed or to bypass reloading entirely, since with Subsistence, each kill gives you 2 bullets. Personally, I'm looking for a role with Vorpal Weapon, or 4th times the charm. I'm trying to output as much DPS from this thing as possible, as you'll see with the builds I'll show later on. That doesn't mean Vorpal or 4th times are the be-all, end-all god roll for PvE. Outlaw and Subsistence are perfectly good, and I have yet to get a Vorpal or 4th times roll. The best I've gotten is an Outlaw roll, and it feels very good to use. So if you end up preferring Outlaw to Vorpal or 4th times, don't feel bad, that's a perfectly valid option. But, unlike all my other videos where I ignore PvP more than Bungie does, I'm actually going to talk about the stats of this thing in the Crucible, after which we'll get to the PvE builds. The Crucible. I don't go there often. I much prefer cooperative games to competitive ones, but considering the meta of 120 hand cannons, this scout will fit right in on longer range maps. Dealing 81 damage to the head at base with a 75 meter damage drop-off, this will 2-head 1 body guardians at pretty much every single range you're going to be encountering someone at. As well, if you have Cranial Spike at 3 stacks when starting an engagement, you can 2-tap to the head if the enemy is at 4 resilience or below. As well, if you have a 20% damage buff or higher, think Empowering Rifts, High Energy Fire, or Whisper of Hedrons are the most common ones, you can 2-tap to the head at any resilience. That's all the important stats. On more fringe cases, like where you have Cranial Spike at max stacks, you can also 2-tap to the head at any resilience. Correction, it only 2-taps up to 6 resilience. Any higher and you need a damage booster of some sort. If you're bringing Deadman's Tale into PvP, I'd suggest running a high energy fire setup. That means something along the lines of taking charge in high energy fire, and at that point you might as well run Powerful Friends and Radiant Light for the plus 20 to both mobility and strength, as well as making your allies charged with light when you either cast your super or gain a stack of charge with light yourself. And I guess if you're slotting 4 out of 5 mods already, you might as well slot stacks on stacks in your last piece of gear if you want to take the hit to recovery to double your charge with light generation. I'm no PvP sweat lord god. Hell, I'm not really good at PvP at all. But if you pop in a stream, I stream on this channel somewhat often to make up for the gaps in between videos, by the way. You should subscribe and join the Discord and know when I'm live. And I'm in the Crucible for whatever reason, you can probably expect me to be running Deadman's Tale and a shotgun of some sort. It's nice to run. Oh, and for PvP rolls, I'm personally looking for a high handling roll with ricochet or accurized rounds and either Killing Wind or snapshot sights. I have a snapshot roll, but it doesn't have the other perks that I want yet. Still feels really nice to use though. I'm not really a PvP guy though. If you want some recommendations you can actually trust, I'd suggest going to like Cami Cakes or Patty Cakes or Pancakes or one of the many bearded cakes PvP YouTubers. It's weird how there's so many of them. Alright. Let's get back to my area of expertise. Can I really call it expertise? Big old quotation marks around that word. And let's see how we can get the most out of this gun. Titans, you get the first draw on this one. Let's see what we can do with them. Fair warning, these builds are for one purpose: getting the most out of specifically Deadman's Tale as we can, while still maintaining a good standard of ad clear. If you want a max DPS uber meta build, you're not gonna find it here. Anyways, let's see what we've got. In terms of subclasses that boost your weapon's damage, our options are Thunder Crash for Inertia Override, Bottom Tree Striker for Frontal Assault, Bottom Tree Sunbreaker for Sunspots, the Fragment Whisper of Hedrons on Stasis, or of course, Bubble. Pretty much all of those are valid options, except for maybe Inertia Override, since with Deadman's Tale and an artifact mod we're using, you're generally playing a bit further back, which means you're not going to have many opportunities to slide over ammo. Bubble is the largest buff of all the ones I've just mentioned at a 35% increase, followed by Whisper of Hedrons at 25%, then everything else at 20%. I'm just gonna pick Bottom Tree Sunbreaker. Sun Warrior is only about a 20% damage buff, but it also provides increased ability regen, a chunk of health upon creating a Sunspot, allows you to create Warmind Cells, more on that later, and if you create a Sunspot and immediately start standing in it, you can keep Sun Warrior for up to 30 seconds. Wait, what is a Sunspot and how do I make one? By killing an enemy with your grenade, melee ability, or super while they're burning. Wait, what counts as burning? A burn is the dot effect from things like your incendiary grenade or melee ability if they don't kill directly, the explosive shot of Polaris Lance, the afterburn from Jotun. And if I remember correctly, the burn from the Warmind Cell mod Burning Cells also counts. If you kill an enemy with any of those abilities directly, or while under the effect of one of those burns, a sunspot will be created on their corpse, which you can then stand in to both extend the duration of the sunspot from 4 seconds up to 20 seconds, and to give yourself Sun Warrior, which lasts for 5 seconds outside of a sunspot. But, as if all those sources of creating sunspots wasn't enough for you, while you have Sun Warrior, you get an internal counter that creates another sunspot when it hits 1. That counter gets ticked up by 0.25 per minor enemy, 0.5 per major enemy, and a full 1 per Ultra or Guardian killed. In other words, killing 4 minor enemies, 2 major enemies, 1 Ultra or Guardian, or some combination of that, will create another sunspot. I think that's about it for Sunspots and Bottom Tree Sunbreaker. Hopefully, by now you understand why I chose this specifically. Alright, that's the first part of the build. For gear, we're obviously using Deadman's Tail for our kinetic. For our energy, we'll be using a shotgun for close range encounters, and our heavy is a sword for when we need a little more oomph than what our shotgun can provide. Our exotic will be Phoenix Cradle, which doubles the timer for Sun Warrior from 5 seconds to 10, and allows allies to gain Sun Warrior by standing in our sunspots. For stats, focus on Discipline, Recovery, and Strength. Our armor mods are Ammo Finders for our Heavy, Anti-Barrier Scout and Scout Loader from the Artifact, 1 Elemental and Area Resist mod, 1 Scavenger for our Special and Heavy, Inferno Whip from the Artifact so that we can punch the unstoppable out of a champion, and Sundering Glare from the Artifact, which makes enemies take 20% more damage if we land 5 rapid precision hits from at least 37 or so meters away. Our combat mods are a usual mix of Warmind Cells and a Protective Light setup. I guess it's time to explain how I'm making Warmind Cells since I'm not necessarily using any Ikelos or 7th Seraph weapons. It's all about these 2 mods, Wrath of Rasputin and Rage of Warmind. Also Global Reach, that one's nice, we're using that one. Wrath of Rasputin allows solar splash damage final blows to create Warmind Cells, and boy do we have solar splash damage. Our Incendiary Grenade, that can make Warmind Cells. Our Super, Warmind Cells. The very sunspots that we stand in, those deal a lot of damage to enemies caught inside, and because they're technically splash damage, that's right, Warmind Cells. That's not all though. Adding Rage of the Warmind makes our Warmind Cell explosions deal about 30% more damage and converts all of their damage to solar, which, you guessed it, means that they're now able to deal solar splash damage, which means our Warmind Cell explosions can create more Warmind Cells. Global Reach is just there to give the explosion a bigger radius. Because Deadman's Tail has its catalyst now, we'll be using Taking Charge to get us charged with light whenever we pick up an Orb of Light, which we can get from multi-kills with Deadman's, trust me, you'll be doing plenty of those, and Protective Light to consume those stacks of Charge with Light to give us damage reduction when we get to low health. So what does using this build actually look like? As usual, there's raw gameplay of a Legend Lost sector linked via card in the top right and link in the description, but in essence, you'll start off by getting a kill with your Incendiary Grenade or melee ability to create a sunspot, standing in that to gain Sun Warrior, and you'll pretty much just be shooting and throwing grenades until either your sunspot runs out, you create a new one in a good position, or you just have to move forwards. It's very fun, you generate a lot more Warmind Cells than you might expect, and the health you regain when creating a sunspot is definitely nothing to scoff at. It's saved me from death quite a few times. Honestly, Sunspot Titan is one of my favorite subclasses to play in Destiny right now. If you're looking to add some extra firepower behind Deadman's Tail, that's how I'd suggest going about it. Not everyone plays Titan though. What if you're a die-hard Warlock main? Let's peek through the subclasses again, looking for damage boosts and additional add clear or sustain DPS options. Obviously, Empowering Rifts exist for every single tree, but let's see what else we can get. For Void, there's Devour or Charged Vortex Grenades. Both are good options for add clear and extra DPS respectively, but let's see what else we've got. For Arc, I think we can do better than any of these trees. Top and bottom tree solar don't offer much for us in this case, and well is... well. Stasis is a lot. Tell you what, we're gonna use Top Tree Voidwalker for the charged Vortex grenades. Ooh. Tell you what, we're gonna use Top Tree Voidwalker for the charged Vortex grenades and Wide Nova Bomb. In terms of exotics, we have two primary choices. The obvious Contraverse Hold to get grenade energy back when we hit our charged grenade, or Chromatic Fire to give Deadman's Tail a void-flavored dragonfly. Chromatic Fire can work, sorta. There's roughly a full second of delay between the enemy's death and the explosion, and on top of that, the explosion itself has piss-poor radius, so unless you have 4 dregs stacked on top of each other, you're not getting too much more than a light show from Chromatic Fire. Well, I guess that leaves Contraverse Hold. To get more specific on how Contraverse works, when you hit an enemy with an overcharged grenade, you'll gain anywhere from 25% to all of your grenade energy back. While using Vortex grenades, the effect seems to have a cooldown of around 2 seconds, after which you'll regain more grenade energy and probably get back up to full energy. If you're using scatter grenades, it seems like you more consistently gain higher amounts of energy if you hit more of the scatter itself, but the exotic literally says it's random, so who really knows in the end? I've gained 20% from hitting a full scatter grenade, and I've gained full energy from missing half of it. Oh, you also gain 20% damage resistance while charging a grenade, which is nice, but fairly minor overall in PvE. That leaves us with a much simpler build for Warlock, consisting of the same weapons and base armor mods as our Titan, but switching out our Warmind Cell mods for more Charged with Light mods, since we can't generate Warmind Cells with Wrath of Rasputin in this build. Our combat mods will look like this, taking charge and protective light just as before, but now we'll have high energy fire to give us a 20% damage increase while charged with light, precision charge to give us charge with light when we get a precision multi-kill with Deadman's Tail, and stacks on stacks to double the stacks we get from all our charge with light generation, that being taking charge and precision charge. In a nutshell, so long as you're killing every enemy with a precision final blow, you should be generating as many stacks of charge with light from precision charge and taking charge with stacks on stacks as you'll be losing from high energy fire. Protective light is just there for a safety net as usual. It's just always something that you should have. Same as it ever was, there's a linking card to a Legend Lost sector in the places you'd expect it to be. Charged Void Grenades are nice for additional boss DPS, so you might find more success with this build in things like higher difficulty Lost sectors, where that sort of thing would be appreciated over the ad clear that Titan can offer. We're not done yet though. This gun can be used effectively on all 3 classes. I'm not gonna bother going through every possible option on Hunter. There's so many exotic and subclass combinations you could potentially use that this video could go on for another 5 minutes probably just for Hunter alone. Instead, we're just gonna pick Athreus' Embrace and go with that. If you don't know how Athreus' Embrace works, you should totally go watch my video on it and mask it backwards, it's a good video. Hitting 3 rapid precision hits will make your weighted knife deal 300% damage and stagger unstoppable champions for 10 seconds, with further precision hits extending the timer, and the buff being removed when you hit an enemy with your weighted knife. Notably, you can stack this with the 300% increase from 1-2 punch to make your weighted knife deal 900% damage, bringing it close to the amount of damage you can deal with a full-ass Nighthawk. In other words, Athreus' can give us the burst damage we normally lack. Our subclass for this build will be Bottom Tree Gunslinger for hopefully obvious reasons. Weapons will look mostly the same, still using a sword, but making sure we're using a pellet shotgun that has 1-2 punch. Any energy shotgun with it will work. Armor mods are entirely the same as the Warlock build. Here they are again if you need a refresher. If you've run Athreus' before, this won't play very different to that. Kill ads with Deadman's Tail, use your buffed weighted knife when the opportunity arises. Sorta like the Warlock build, this doesn't have anything to help your ad clear, but instead of the consistent damage of charged void grenades, you instead gain a huge amount of burst damage for champion killing, giving this build a similar but not quite the same place as the Warlock build. I've left myself no valid segue for this, just you know where to see the uncut footage for the Hunter. Alright, this is written after the Catalyst has come out. Holy shit. I really can't praise this thing enough. The hard 25-minute timer on the master version of Presage gives the whole mission a good urgency to it, and Deadman's Tail itself has gone from being a fun, but maybe not super meta gun, to being something I'm almost never taking off in Crucible, and only taking off in PvE when I absolutely need an exotic for something else. The hipfire rate of fire increase is 25%, which brings it up to 150 RPM while hipfiring, and that line where it says, removes hipfire accuracy penalties, it's not just talking about the regular spread you get from firing, although that is entirely removed and this thing is laser accurate at max RPM. It means anything that isn't the in-air accuracy penalty all guns get. Namely, that means your crosshair doesn't get affected by slows at all, letting you fight while in a dusk field grenade or after getting hit by a hunter shuriken, etc. This gun is amazing and feels amazing to use, making it officially, without doubt, my favorite gun in the game as of Season 13. More than Izanagi's Burden, more than Teraba, more than Eyes of Tomorrow, this gun wins out over all of them. Get it right the hell now if you haven't already, then grab a fire team to get the catalyst from the master version and enjoy your lever action. I think that's everything. If you weren't listening, my suggestion is for you to go pick up the quest and get Deadman's Tale right now. Presage is an amazingly crafted mission, Deadman's Tale is the best gun in the game for me, and yeah. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to chat with me directly, or have another way to know when I'm live or when there's a new video, you can join the Discord, link in the description for that, or follow me on Twitter for retweets of random memes and stream video announcements. At Scoobyfoo with 3 O's at the end. Drop a comment if I missed something, or if you've got thoughts of your own you want to share, but for now, I've been Scoobyfoo. Thank you for watching. Armor and comp...